My name is Morgana Wilborn. I am an educator, director, and artist here in Dallas, and I'm joined with none other than the great Mrs. Ann M. Williams. We're coming together today on behalf of the project and movement that is the Black Album mixtape created by Miss Regina Taylor. Mrs. Ann M. Williams is an American dancer, choreographer, and the founder of Dallas Black Dance Theater, the oldest continually operating dance company in Dallas, Texas, founded in 1976. For 40 years, Ms. Williams directed Dallas Black Dance Theater from a community-based organization and a semi-professional organization to a full professional dance company. In May of 2014, Ms. Williams officially retired as artistic director of the organization, but she remains actively involved with the dance company as an emeritus member of the board of directors. She's an active dance consultant, served as a panelist for many city, state, and national agencies. She's aligned with several organizations, including the International Association of Blacks in Dance, Dallas Summer Musicals Management Group, founding member of the Dance Council of North Texas, the advisory board of Booker T. Washington High School for the Performing and Visual Arts, and the International Association of Blacks in Dance. She's a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Trinity Chapter, the Links Incorporated, the Society Inc., Dallas Chapter, Charter 100, among many, many others. Hello, Mrs. Ann Williams. How are you today?
I am fine, and thank you. How are you?
I am good. Well, I want to get right into it. The question we've been asking in the Black Album mixtape is, what does it mean to be African American in 2021?
To be African American in 2021, for me, that means to be an individual that remembers my past, is pleased with my present, and look forward to the future. I want to always be community involved as an African American. And that means in the community, political, as well as spiritual. And I think that's what it means to me to be an African American in 2021.
And to that note, what does it mean as we define ourselves of being Black artists during this time?
Well, to be Black artists during this time, and I would say when we speak of doing this time, for instance, doing today, it means a reawakening from the past 19 months of the pandemic and not being connected and involved face to face and being able to attend performances as we want to. But today, and just being an artist, that still means supporting all forms of art, all individuals as well as organizations and companies, choreographers, those others that want to be artists, because we're all in this together.
That is so true. Well, that brings me to this. Dallas Black Dance Theater sits on the street appropriately called Ann Williams Way. So what's been the Ann Williams Way when it comes to disrupting and resisting the systems of any inequity or white supremacy, being a Black woman, creator, artist, and civic leader?
I think the street, Ann Williams Way, was named because of the legacy of mine. And I think those that are familiar with the things that I have been able to contribute and serve in Dallas and working with the community, I think they're pleased. And it's like any other thing. We go back and forward with all situations, and those that do not have the heart that you and I have, that same tense and that same inequity is still there.
And that's the rude awakening of it, you know.
Yes, that is.
And that's what we hope when we can see one another, give love and heart to each other, and just break down barriers and dismantle
Yes, yes.
for a way forward. So you mentioned heart, and I've read before that you've said if you have the heart and technique, you can adapt your mind to anything. How has that mantra served you as a creator? How does it transcend into your daily life? And is, or as advice to any Black person for that matter?
Well, the heart is a beat. And I look at working with people is the rapidness of that heartbeat that they have. The heartbeat toward really wanting to do what you want to do and finding a way to do it that is respectful. And so what we have to do is learn how to work with each other. And then when there are problems, to work around those barriers, because we can't stop. Our heart doesn't stop. And once that heart stops, once that beat stops, then there's nothing else to do. So I kind of think of how is your heart? How is the beat? Are you ready to keep that beat going? Are you ready to keep fighting? And are you ready to keep working? Because you can't do anything by yourself. And like the heart, it cannot survive with the remaining parts of your body. So that's how I look at situations, and that's how I look at organizations, that's how I look at workforce. And generally I can sum up a person if I can get their heartbeat, you know, okay, that person's all right. That heartbeat is not like my heartbeat. It's not like yours. So that's a situation. And you get to step back and learn how to work with it, to go around it, maybe sometime forget it, and maybe sometime remove yourself from it. So that's kind of what I mean when I, that heartbeat, I take it from the humanistic.
That is beautiful. Thank you. Um, Someone else great in which you have learned from, Alvin Ailey, affirms that dance is for everybody. I believe that dance came from the people and it should always be delivered back to the people. So when we think of, you've mentioned heart, you've mentioned community and how we work together. When we think of the work cultivating, created by Dallas Black Dance Theater or Alvin Ailey or other Black dance leaders and companies, how have they worked towards creating these equitable spaces for dance to be more accessible to our Black and Brown communities?
That is the taking the legacy of Alvin Ailey, and he really was the person that wanted to make dance available to the people, because he came up in community. Most of his dances, the themes around what people do, the everyday themes, the blues, the spirituals, and the love. And so I kind of think that dance will survive with some of those same motifs as we go along. I remember Alvin once said to me when he came to the state of Texas, you know, and he tried to chastise me about Dallas Black Dance Theater when he said, "What do you want for this company?" And I said, "Oh, we want to be as big as the A-Ley company. We want to be as big, we want to grow." And he said, "Oh, no, 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 no." He warned me about, you know, keep it small. Don't go over 16 people. Don't get big ballets. You know, keep it small so that you can get in a van and you can go to the people. And he talked about his home, which is not far from here, right outside of Waco. He said, "I'd love to be able to take my company there, but nobody can afford me. You know, there's not even a place, you know, that's large enough." And that's why they have to perform in Europe most of the time, because that's where people can afford them. Those are where the houses are. And so sometimes we have the dreams, like I had the dream of being as big as the A-Ley company, and had never had anyone to give me that thought. And of course, at that particular time when he said that, you know, still in my early days, and that went in one ear and came out the other, you know. But in a couple of years, right after that, I understood what he said. And it resonates with me today. And as I left Dallas Black Dance Theater, and like I said, working there for 40 years, I really saw, you know, why grow big? Do what you can do best. Because we started out as a community organization. Sure, we grew to be a professional company, but that was one thing I always told my board, my dancers, we will always bring that community along with us. And we will always go back to serve that community, because that's where we got to start from. And that's very dear to my heart.
That's beautiful. And I think that's something that we often forget when money comes in the mix, or trying to get big donors or this and
Yes,
that.
yes.
We all fall victim to that, especially all of us who work in nonprofits or arts, and just want to be able to grow and have that reach of engagement with our people. So that's something that I need to keep at my core as someone who works in the arts and community and nonprofit, is to keep the community at the center. Oh, wonderful.
And you have to, I know, and everybody always talk about Dallas Black Dance Theater. I said, well, long time ago, I realized that that was the type of legacy I had to set for Dallas Black Dance Theater. If I was going to be that person that kept that in mind, then I needed that administrator that had the mindset that they are the ones that need to have the mindset for getting the funds to make sure that I could do what I wanted to do. A lot of times, the one person that's trying to do both, that clouds the vision, because you know the lights have to be on. You know the dancers have to be paid. You know, but you also know the art. You also know what the mission is. And so you don't want to get those things clouded. So if you have that administrator whose purpose is that funding, and finding that funding alone, that's their purpose, and they can go as big, and they know how big they have to go, then it doesn't cloud the artistic person from saying, and those two work together. And that is what I love about the legacy I think that I have left with Dallas Black Dance Theater. And it gave me also the, I would say, the fortitude to be able to retire knowing that that same type of system would remain there.
And that's what I've seen in when organizations have the opportunity to create strong foundations and operational systems. And that's the part that I know that many up and coming organizations are still growing, trying to figure out. They
Yes.
have the community, the representation that is diverse. Maybe they're featured more, but what are we seeing in terms of financial support to dance companies, companies of color, from government, foundations, corporations? You had mentioned something like that before in a quote, and that more needs to be done for organizations to grow and reach sustainability. In the capacity that you serve on the several boards and organizations that you guide, are you seeing that come to fruition yet? The more strength and support for the several organizations that are out here growing?
I'm seeing that come through more through a program that we have with the International Association of Blacks in Dance. That is an organization, it is an international organization that works for people of Black and African American ancestry, And right now we are supporting financially with some support and administratively with about 70 Black companies. And what we're trying to do with several kinds of programs, and I won't go into those, but I wish that the public would go to the website of the International Association of Blacks in Dance. But we're trying to go through that type of structure now, is trying to help them grow to be like 5 of the major founding companies that started the International Association of Blacks in Dance. There are 5 founding companies like Dallas Black Dance Theater. And then you have the next level, which is the ALE and the Dance Theater of Theater Harlem. And so we're guiding them in that way, as I said, through workshops and with some finance, because as an international organization, we're able to get funding from the Mellon Foundation, from the Ford Foundation, that supports these companies coming together. And during the pandemic, we've been doing webinars. We've been bringing in consultants, and we work with the national finance companies that works with us and giving them that type of structure. And this is something that did not exist 40 years ago, when Philadelphia, Cleo Parker Robinson, Dayton Contemporary, Lula Washington, and I started Dallas Black Dance Theater. We didn't have that, as an access to learn these things. And so this is what we're finding now. And it's really saying what we need to do for ourselves, what we need to do for ourselves. But, and we're hoping, and we're seeing the results of that. But like you said, we don't look backwards, we try to look forward, and we try to tell them, they'll still say they are companies like Deeply Rooted, Kevin Aiga, Jeff, Bal Ethnic, those type of companies, that level. And they're saying, they're 10 and 15 years old. So we're saying, don't look backwards. We didn't have that either. So let's just keep looking forward, and we want to pay forward, we want to, pay it forward. And so this is all that we can do, is just come together ourselves and see what we can do.
And, as you mentioned about moving forward and finding the way forward, you continue to talk about leaving that legacy, which is what, you just mentioned about assisting these companies. And you leave, as you mentioned before, a wonderful legacy of performance, education, excellence, and equity for Black people to find their place in the arts, which is all the things you just mentioned. As we think about our Gen Z and those students who are, just trying to find their body's voice and place in this world, for those young people beginning their journey and wanting to build a legacy themselves, what advice do you pass on to these young minds?
Well, I've done that so much, and now the first thing I try to tell all of them, okay, well, now I'm retired, so I'm a consultant to you now, I'm giving all of this advice. No, I still do a lot of that. But mainly what I say to them is, what is your immediate purpose, your immediate mission? Don't think 40 years from now, where, in the next 3 years, where do you want to be? In the next 5 years, you always got to have some years ahead of you. Where do you want to go? And then how do you look at how can you get there? What is keeping you? What do you think is keeping you from getting there besides yourself? And so who do you have as partners? You can't do it by yourself. Who are your partners? And your partners could be your staff, your dancers, or community, even your church, your school, or just a mentor, who, and then who have you told? Who listens to you? Who are you taking advice from? And really taking advice? And is that person someone that is where you want to be in the next 3 years or in the next 5 years? And so it starts very small. It's not anything like coming in big, and then you start looking at the roadblocks, the roadblocks around you. Who's your competition? And are you fearful of the competition? Or are you friends with the competition? Are you all working together for the same goal? And the community. So it's really where they are and where they live, and they need to look at their environment and their surroundings, I said, because you can either move to the next level or you can stay just where you are. And that depends a lot of time on your goal and how you want to move there. And how are you yourself? Are you ready to do the 12 hours a day? Or do you want to only do the 4 hours and hope to be where this company is in the next 3 days and 3 years and you haven't put the work in? So this is those kind of questions that I put in their heads, and then I said, okay, then let's do a plan. But they have to think it through, because no one can, and then it has to be their plan. You can, you don't want to tell them. It has to be their plan. So
Still trying to figure out my own plan.
I know. And then the main thing is don't worry about mistakes, and don't worry about stepping forward and then have to go backwards a day. Don't let that throw you off. So I mean, life is real. You're in good health.
Especially
You're gonna have you're gonna have the good days, and
right.
and then when you get the good days, be joyful with it.
Being
When
appreciated.
you don't have a good day, pray a little more.
Yes.
I mean, just be real. It's but you got to be. Everything's a give and a take.
Definitely. Well, speaking of Black joy, what is yours?
Right now, my Black joy is being able to really enjoy my home. And I have a 4-year-old dog. I love to play bridge, and the pandemic has caused me not to be able to play bridge with my friends in person. So we do it on Zoom and online, and we have bridge clubs, and we do it on the internet, on the computer. And that's great, because that keeps the mind and everything together. And so my Black joy is really, and then I'm also delving into trying to put together my memoirs. So some days I could have a whole lot going on, and but that keeps me busy. But my Black joy is really, I guess you would say, it's really just trying to be pleased with myself, and really thankful that I have been blessed with the feeling that I have done something for others. And I really mean something in the way of what I really started trying to make it better for young Black boys and girls. That was really why I started Dallas Black Dance Theater. And where it is today is really because of the help of a whole lot of others that have helped me. But my original goal was trying to teach Black boys and girls and show them that dance could be an art form. And that if they wanted to, how far they could go with dance, but they had to have the skills and they had to have the dance classes, but what it could do for them, the self-esteem that it could give them. And, it's not like just because they think, oh, Blacks had rhythm and stuff, but it had to be developed, and that it is an art form. It's an art form. And art takes skill, just like piano.
Right.
And when you learn to play the piano, and when you learn, if there are 5 of you in a family, and one of you learn to be a pianist, or one learns to take dance classes, that gives you a little better feeling when you go to family reunions and you see your other cousins and things. This is what you can say. It gives you a better feeling of self-esteem. And it makes your parents proud. It makes the aunts and uncles proud. And it's something that it helps you in school,
And that's so special when we can see young people, just people in general, find their outlet and their way, kind of like a North Star guiding light to keep them.
Yes. Yes.
Well, my last question, I am remiss if I do not mention that I am thankful to have the privilege to call you Soror as a member of Alpha
Thank you, my
Sorority
Alpha
Incorporated.
Kiwi.
Yes. But so through our work, we dedicate our lives to be a service of all mankind, which is what
Yes.
you do. That's your legacy. And you've indeed served your community beyond anything anyone could imagine, I'm sure. What else do you hope to provide in terms of service to your community in this life?
I really want to um, be able to now do this, what I've done with one organization. And I want to continue to see that organization, which will always be my heart, you know.
Mhm.
But now I want to reach out and to do this on a larger level for other dance
Mm.
organizations. So I really consider myself that advocacy
Mhm.
for Black dance and in helping the field of Black dance. You know, I have dedicated myself to, I would say, making Dallas Black Dance Theater a stable organization and doing this and doing that, you know. And now some of those persons that I've taught and that have been in Dallas Black Dance Theater, they have their own companies now. They're working with other persons, you know. And some of those choreographers that I have brought in that work with Dallas Black Dance Theater, they have developed companies now. I mean, we've just remained friends. We're just in this. And so they're all saying, we want to be like Dallas Black Dance Theater, you know. So I'm here, you know. And
Mm.
so as I said, Dallas Black comes first, but now I'm for the field because I still see that the more that it's out there
Mm.
and still giving opportunities for others, that's what I want to continue to do
Well,
on a lower level now.
right.
No, not gonna sweat.
Right. You're like, I'm a
Gonna
consult.
sweat. Yeah, I'm gonna sweat. Not gonna sweat. But
Oh, definitely.
it's joyful because
Mm.
I look up. You know, that's what I've done. You know, that's what I've done. And while I can still think, and I'm thankful, you know, then I want to do that. So it's like a teacher, always a teacher.
Oh, definitely. I know that. Well, I am so thankful for you for taking this time with me today. I have learned so much for me, for myself to think about as I consider what does it mean to be of service for my community and to leave a legacy. I think that's something so important for all of us to begin to consider and to put into action. And you have certainly, in the Ann Williams way, put forth beautiful examples of that. And we see that in Dallas Black Dance Theater and among the many wonderful projects that you've done and the many lives you've changed and the people you've guided. So you are such an inspiration to me. I am so lucky to spend this time with you. And I just want to thank you so much for being and for teaching and for being here today.
And I want to thank you so much for working with my good friend, Regina Taylor. She and I go way back. I knew her mom and watched her, knew her, and she's done some things for the company. And we have a lot of choreographers that are the same. Diane McIntyre, we both love her. And So when I look at her and she can do projects like this
Mhm.
and bring you all in for support and for guidance, and you're growing and you're learning from her, this is what it's all about.
Yeah.
And then you will be doing the same thing,
Yes, ma'am.
because this is what happened. I'm doing what one of my professors did. I mean, we do what our mentors, and we learn from others, from our mothers and from our
Mhm.
neighbors and from other dancers, other painters, other artists, and so you're learning that too.
Definitely. I was very blessed to work under Miss Regina as an assistant director for the Black Album mixtape Resistance, and she continues to bring opportunities my way.
Yes, yes. And look at the people
Ooh,
you're meeting,
yes,
all those
exactly.
persons. See, this is what I'm saying. You would never get that experience on your
No,
own.
no,
See, and
ma'am.
so and you have time to do your own projects, and then you know
Right,
how to do it, and you'll do it better, and you know who to bring in, and you're making
right.
friends with those persons, and
Yes, ma'am.
they will not forget you. They'll say, "Oh, you're that little one that," So,
That's right.
I mean, you're writing a book of your own with this. So,
Wow.
I don't know what your, aim is later, but just look what you'll have to throw in.
Yes, ma'am. Definitely.
So, lots of luck to you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you for
Okay.
all that you do.